StrayAllDay.com.
You're now tuned into the show where you learn the discipline to show up day after day, to do the work, the confidence to put yourself out there boldly and authentically, and the mental toughness to continue showing up, doing the work, putting yourself out there, even when the success you've expected to achieve has yet to be achieved. And on top of all this, you get a huge dose of personal initiative. That is the go-getter energy that moves any one of us, including yourself, to go and make things happen instead of waiting for things to happen. And then we put all this together into a series of frameworks, approaches, insights, strategies, and techniques, all underneath the umbrella of one unifying philosophy that is called work on your game. My name is Dre Baldwin, also known as Dre All Day, and welcome to the show. And today's topic is we are moving into the next part of our ongoing series here on how to be a wolf. Before we get started, I remind you, Daily Motivation, Monday Motivation text me at my number 305-384-6894. When we reactivate, you'll be getting those messages straight to your phone. Secondly, Work on Your Game University. That is the place where you can take your next step. If you want to go to the next level in your life, in your career, in your business, and personally, making sure you're squeezing all the juice out of your orange, so to speak, join Work on Your Game University. That's where I will coach you directly on your mindset, your strategies, your systems, and your implementation to make it all happen as quickly as possible. Again, with my direct help. That's workonyourgameuniversity.com. So stepping into continuing our series on how to be a wolf. Again, we're on part 3 here. Parts 1 and 2 were in the previous 2 days here, and this is going to be an ongoing 10-part series. So we will pick it up right here on point number 7 from where we left off. So number 7, adapt and adjust quickly. Out in the wild, things change very quickly, and a wolf does not have time to sit around and complain about the changes happening around them. If you're familiar with a book, I forget the name of the author, but the book is called Who Moved My Cheese? It's a relatively short book. It's kind of designed kind of like a children's book, and it's been around for a long time. I don't remember who first told me about the book, but it's a very short book. You can read the book in like 15 minutes. And in that book, it's an allegorical story, fictional story about I believe it was 2 mice, and they're like humanized mice. Every day they wake up and they walk along a path and they get some cheese there. And then one day the cheese is not there anymore, and it juxtaposes. I'm not going to give the whole story away, but it juxtaposes how when the cheese gets moved and the cheese is not there anymore, some mice, or people, so to speak, will keep going back to the same spot, hoping, wishing, and praying that one day the cheese will just magically appear in the same spot again. And then other people instead smartly make adjustments to the fact that the cheese isn't there anymore and say, well, let's find an alternative route to get to the goal. And this is what wild animals have to do. If a mouse is used to getting food from a certain source, and all of a sudden that source is no longer providing food, the mouse can't just sit there and wait and hope and pray that the food shows up there, or the mouse will starve to death. And the same thing with the wolf, and the same thing with any other wild animal. Whereas humans, we tend to do exactly this. The source that was producing an outcome for us is no longer working. We just keep doing the same thing without asking ourselves, hey, maybe there's a different route for us to get to this goal besides what we're doing right now. The wolf does not have time to sit around and complain about the situation. Now, unlike humans, again, they can't craft a story in their heads that things will magically get better tomorrow, next week, or next month. So they have to adjust immediately to changes in their environments, or they will perish as a result of not making an adjustment. It is literally life or death for an animal. I am submitting to you that you start making your adjustments more quickly to what is happening in front of you, rather than hoping or wishing that things adjust to you or adjust for you, which is what, again, a lot of people do. Now, there is a time, I will add this piece in, there is a time when you should just keep plugging away at the thing that you're doing, because maybe it just takes a little bit more effort and a few more whacks of the axe to chop through and knock down the tree. But there are other times when you probably just stop chopping at that tree, because knocking down that tree is not even going to solve your problem, even if you do it successfully. So this is where it helps to get a set of fresh eyes on yourself and your work, such that you are not continually doing something that's not going to work, no matter how long you plug away at it, and no matter how long you persist at it. So this is a matter of discernment. And discernment is all about deciding when are you doing something that you should probably stop doing because it's an exercise in futility, versus when should you keep doing something because despite the fact that it's not working yet, it is going to work if you keep working at it. And we have to be wise in making our decision as to which is which, because if you leave something too early, you may miss out on what could have been an opportunity. And if you say something too long, then you may miss out on other opportunities because you're still focused on the thing that's not going to work instead of going over to something that would work. So this is where wisdom comes into play. Now, animals don't have these problems. Humans do. So I want to make sure I add that caveat in there, because I want to make sure you don't think that just because you're working on something right now and it's not working, that necessarily means that you should quit doing it. Maybe it just means you make an adjustment. Maybe it means you just need to do it longer. Maybe it means you're doing the wrong thing completely, but it could be any one of those or many other possibilities in between. That's where the thinking and the logic and the reason come into play. And this is, again, where a set of fresh eyes and someone with a different perspective could probably help you instead of you trying to diagnose it on your own if you haven't been able to up to this point. Point number 8, we're talking here today about how to be a wolf. And this is part of our ongoing 10-part series. Number 8, sharpen your instincts. Now, the good thing about wolves, as long as the wolf has always been wild, is that it doesn't have to sharpen its instincts because it's born with instincts and they are never drummed out of the wolf. So the wolf already has instincts. So if you're going to be a wolf, you need to sharpen your instincts. You can be like a wolf. Now, a wolf that has been in, let's say, captivity in some way, and then it gets let back out into the wild, it has to get back in touch with its instincts first before it gets let out into the wild. Because if it goes out into the wild with the same mentality, so to speak, that it had while it was in captivity, that means it's going to sit around and wait for somebody to feed it. And when that doesn't happen, the wolf is going to die of starvation. So for you as a human, you need to get back in touch with and sharpen your instincts. I talked about this back in episode number 1448. Your instincts are your subconscious mind's communication with you. And I have seen, and we all know this if you think about it, our subconscious mind's communication has been crowded out and blocked by our conscious mind's thinking, because our conscious minds are consistently being bombarded with messages with our help. See, it's not just society doing this to us. We're doing it to ourselves because all of you have these little devices that we keep in our pockets and usually within arm's reach, literally 24 hours a day. And these devices will give us message after message after message. And if we run out of messages on one application, we go to another app and that gives us another message. And we go to another one and there's endless messages and endless entertainment and distraction being provided by these devices. And because of that, our conscious minds are constantly being inundated with these messages. And because of that, because our conscious mind's constant inundation with messaging, we never get to hear the subconscious mind, because the subconscious mind speaks in a whisper, whereas the conscious mind speaks in a loud conversational tone. So if they're both talking at the same time, you will only hear the conscious mind. But the subconscious mind is the one that is connected to your instincts. So if you find that you are not connected to your instincts anymore, or maybe you just understand from what I just explained that you are not, I just explained to you why. Because you're constantly letting your mind be bombarded with messages that get the conscious mind thinking, but you never give the subconscious mind a chance to speak to you. This is the reason why people do mindfulness, meditation, yoga exercises, just go into solitude and quietness where you don't have anything in your ears, you're not listening to anything, reading or watching anything, because it gives your subconscious mind a chance, when it realizes what you're doing, to actually communicate with you. Many of you are no longer in touch with your instincts because you never do any of these things, but you are consistently being bombarded with messages and noise from the outside world and from the inside world in your own head. So your subconscious mind hasn't been able to communicate with you, even though, here's the real danger, the subconscious mind controls 85% of what you think, say, and do. But you have no idea what it's trying to communicate with you, even though it's running your life. That's a problem. It's like being in a car and you're not controlling the steering wheel, but something is pressing on the gas. You have no idea where that car is going. That's a dangerous situation. And unless you're in one of those, what do they call them, self-driving vehicles, and you trust that it's safe. But other than that, understand what I'm saying here. You get the spirit of my point. You don't want to be in a car that's moving. You don't know who the driver is, but the gas is being pressed, because now you're going wherever that car is going, but you have no control over where it goes. Bad idea. And that's how many of you are living right now, because you have no connection to your subconscious, no connection to your instincts, because you never take time to mute the outside world and listen to the inside world. Again, subconscious speaks in a whisper. The conscious mind speaks in a conversational tone. Therefore, when you don't have that connection to your instincts and you find yourself ignoring what the instinct is trying to communicate with you, the reason it's happening is because you have not trained yourself or created a practice through which you can hear it. Again, this is why meditation and mindfulness and yoga, for example, are called practices. They're not called sciences, because you have to practice listen to the subconscious mind. If you don't practice, then it makes sense why you're playing the way you play. In the sports world, coaches would always say this to us. They say the way you practice is the way you're going to play. So if you're not playing well in the games, it's probably because you're not performing properly in practice. And it is 100% true. It's the same thing with all of you in your lives. If you're not taking time to practice your mental and inner connections, then it makes sense that when things happen in life and you're amidst the turmoil of events, you have no way of responding. You don't have a controlled way of responding to get you to the outcome that you want, or at least point you in the direction of the outcome that you want, because you have never practiced for it. You haven't done your homework, and now there's a test, and you're failing the test. It makes perfect sense to me. Are any of you not catching this? Again, we trained ourselves to not hear our subconscious minds, while animals, on the other hand, even domesticated animals, don't have this conscious mind problem that we have, because animals don't have conscious minds. All right? They don't have this ability to think the way that we do. And this is the reason why animals are able to react instinctively to things. And while humans, on the other hand, we tend to overthink things. And in that process, we waste a whole lot of time. We make a lot of bad decisions. And even when we take a lot of time to make a decision, we still mess up. Animals are always attuned to everything that's happening around them because they have no choice but to be instinctive, because they don't have the problem of a conscious mind getting in the way. This is the reason why, even, again, if you had domesticated animals, any of you who has a dog, for example, the dog knows when you are about to go outside. The dog knows when you're about to leave the house and go somewhere, and the dog is not going. The dog also knows when you're about to leave the house and the dog is going. The dog knows exactly what you're about to do before you even do it. It's not because the dog can literally read your mind. It's because you are giving off signals unconsciously and through your body language of what you're about to do. And because the dog is paying complete attention to you, it notices things that you don't even notice, and no other human even notices in your behavior. And if you watch your dog, and any of you's had a dog for a long enough time, you know it. You know when you're about to go out for a walk. The dog knows you're about to go for a walk. How does it know? Sometimes it's because you do the same things the same way every time. At a certain time, you always go for a walk, and there's certain things you do, etc. But also, the dog can read your energy. So let's say you're about to go somewhere that you don't normally go. Let's say you're about to go to a wedding, or you're about to go to a business meeting. It's not like you do this every day at 5 o'clock. How does the dog know that you're about to leave the house and the dog's not going with you? Because the dog is reading your body language. He's reading your energy. He's picking up on every single signal that you're giving off that is not verbal, because dogs don't, they can understand some words, but for the most part, they don't understand words. They pick up your energy. They're picking up every little thing that you're doing because they're paying 100% attention to you, and their mind is not crowded with anything else, because they don't have the ability to do that like humans do. And that's why they catch every little thing that you do. And by the way, all animals have this ability. Some of them are smarter than others, but all animals have this ability. Cats have this ability too. You don't usually walk your cat, so the dog gives you more of a reflection of your energy than the cat does, or at least so I've heard. But the point being, all animals have this ability simply because animals don't have the problem that humans have of rational thinking. Rational thinking tends to get in our way just as often as it helps us. How many of you have found yourself, just say in the last 60 days, overthinking something, spending way too much time thinking about what to do, and then you still messed up, or you still ended up doing the same thing you thought about the first time you considered it? You took a whole week to think about it, and then at the end of the week, you did the same thing you were going to do in the first place. All you did was waste a week. How many of you have done that? Of course, everybody does it. Why? Because we're human, and this is what we do. And this is why I'm doing this series, to suggest you become more like an animal in some ways and stop doing this and stop wasting your time, wasting literally your life. Because when your time runs out, life is over. They call that death. Okay, we take too much time because we're letting our conscious mind get in the damn way instead of listening to the subconscious, which is the mind we should be listening to most of the time. Here's where you can tap into more of your inner animal. Again, animals only deal with their instincts. They don't have conscious thought. Your inner wolf, and retrain yourself to be more instinctive rather than this conscious thinking too much, know too much useless information in your head, getting in your way, human being that you've been up to this point. When you get in touch with your instincts, you'll find yourself moving more quickly, taking more advantage of more opportunities, and less paralyzing yourself in analysis. Point number 9. Topic today, again, we are continuing our series of how to be a wolf. Number 9, become and remain disciplined. Wild animals have no choice but to be disciplined because their lives depend on their discipline. They had to be disciplined about not getting caught in a trap, or not getting shot by a hunter, or not getting killed by a predator, or missing an opportunity to catch some prey that could be a good meal that might keep them alive for the next couple of days, or keep their pups alive for the next couple of days. Human beings, we are increasingly allowed to be less and less disciplined because society becomes more and more safe for us. So the less disciplined you are, it doesn't hurt you. You don't notice any immediate penalties for not being disciplined because nothing bad happens to you when you lack discipline. Our lives have become more and more designed for safety, regardless of our own carelessness and our own lack of discipline. Don't you notice this happening? You hear these days, whenever there's some type of shooting that happens, you hear people making all these calls for, well, there should be gun reform, or they should take away people's guns. And I'm bringing that up to say, this is because if there are less guns on the street, then you have less chance of anybody using a gun and shooting you. If that were to happen, theoretically, it's never going to happen because In order to take guns away from people, you had to go and find every single person who has a gun and then take it away from them, which I doubt many American citizens are going to let you take their guns. It's not going to happen. But let's just say in theory it were to happen. Let's say nobody had a gun. Nobody has a gun, that means nobody can shoot you except someone who's working on behalf of the government. So there are a lot fewer people with the ability to shoot you, which means you're allowed to be more reckless and more careless because you know that if you get in a traffic dispute with somebody, you hop out of your car and spit on their windshield, they can't shoot you because they don't have a gun. But see, if you think they do have a gun, you got to be a little bit more vigilant about who you jump out and harass because you never know who knows what or who has what and their willingness to use it. You see, so the fact that the person might have a gun and you don't know keeps you in check from doing something reckless. Is this true or is it not? Right. And as society becomes more and more designed for safety of the average low or even the lowest level individual, more people are allowed to just be reckless and not pay attention and not have any discipline whatsoever. Because life is designed to keep you safe regardless of your lack of discipline. I don't like this idea. And this is why I'm suggesting to you all that you go against the grain of what most people are doing. So as I mentioned earlier in the series, you're walking around with both earbuds in your ears so you can't hear anything, and you're looking down at your phone so you don't even see what's happening around you. Don't do this because you are setting yourself up to be a target. And there are wolves out there who are looking for people just like you who are not paying any attention and are completely oblivious to what's happening around you. You are their next target. They're looking for people just like you. So I suggest you be more of a wolf and be more disciplined. More disciplined at something as simple as paying attention when you're in public. Yes, that's a discipline. There's a bunch of you don't do it. You're looking at your phone. So despite this truth, all right, that you need to step your discipline up. Like, again, the truth being that life is being made more safe for people who don't pay attention so that them not paying attention isn't penalized. I'm suggesting you step your discipline up anyway, even though life is being made more safe for you. If for no other reason, you're putting yourself far ahead than the less disciplined and the preoccupied and distracted individuals out there, the zombies who don't even know what's happening. These zoned out and daydreaming human beings who you engage with on a daily basis. And at the same time, here's another discipline for you. Stop engaging with these people. Because the law of association, you know what it says. You become the people you spend time with. So if people are daydreaming, zoned out, preoccupied, and have no discipline, and you're hanging with them, what are you asking for? By your actions, you're asking to be more like them. Because there will come a time, whether it lasts for a long period or is a short moment, when your discipline and their lack of discipline will make a difference between your outcome and their outcome. And the difference is going to be obvious. It may seem a small thing now because nothing happened, but eventually something will happen. And are you going to be the one who's paying attention or the one who's caught not paying attention? You will either be prepared at that moment or you won't be. And as a matter of fact, these moments, they happen every single day, as a matter of fact. They happen every single day in your life. Either you are noticing them because of your discipline or you're missing them because of your lack of discipline. So when I say missing them, you may be missing opportunities because you're simply not paying attention or because your mind is focused on the wrong thing. See, if you're focused on how can I make 10 times more money this month than I made last month, you will notice the opportunities to do so. But if you're focused on who won the football game last night, then you'll notice things that relate to that. What are you focused on? What is your mental discipline about? So discipline is not just about the physical things you do, it's also about the way you think and what you're choosing to focus your mind on. This is a choice. All that said, let's recap today's class, which is part 3 of our ongoing series, How to Be a Wolf. Number 7, adapt and adjust quickly. Again, things change very quickly in the wild animal world. Animals do not have the luxury of sitting around and waiting for the changes to come back around to them. They have to adjust to the moment because it may not ever change back. Number 8, sharpen your instincts. Animals are acutely in touch with their instincts 100% of the time because they don't have conscious thought capabilities the way that humans do. And humans are not in touch with their instincts more and increasingly less, simply because we all have the conscious thought patterns that allow us to dominate the animal kingdom. But at the same time, these conscious thought patterns allow us to be preoccupied, zoned out, not paying attention. Number 9, remain disciplined. Wild animals have to be disciplined because their lives will be lost if they're not disciplined, if they slip up for even 1 second. Humans are allowed to slip up all day, every day, their entire damn lives, and society is designed to be a safety net for you. I suggest that you become disciplined even though you have the safety net. Act like you don't have it and be more disciplined. That's a discipline in and of itself. Tomorrow we get into the next part of this series. Make sure you go to workonyourgameuniversity.com so that you can start working with me directly, get access to all of our trainings, all of our courses, all of our high and deep highest level stuff that goes the deepest on taking your game to its highest level on the personal and the business side. That's workonyourgameuniversity.com. Work on your game. Dre all day.